Hey kids, it's Anglantine here, and I'm here to talk to you about something. I gotta admit to being a little bit sensitive to racism towards the Asian people, particularly Southeast Asian, mainly because of Reem. For the 50 of you that watch the My Thai Life videos, we were married in Thailand, and I have a little soft spot for the culture. So it kind of irks me when I see people being racist towards it, which I found in a comic book resources article. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 turned Mantis into the butt of a joke, written by Charles Paul Hoffman. And for those of you who haven't seen the movie yet, be careful. There will be spoilers ahead, I'm sure. So, if you haven't seen it, be careful. First, let me admit, too, that when I read it, I didn't know if this guy was being a troll or not. So let that color the rest of the commentary however you like to. However, yeah, it did come off as, is this real, or is this guy just looking for some sort of clickbait so that would offend people to get them to comment, and of course they would make more money off the article. Although I personally enjoyed most of the movie, one aspect of it still bothers me several days later. The film's treatment of Mantis. Instead of being a kick-ass cosmic hero in her own right, the Mantis is portrayed in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 was a little more than a stereotype and the butt of numerous jokes. See, and this is part of it, because if you watch Guardians of the Galaxy, either movie, everybody is the butt of somebody else's joke. Also, Mantis wasn't set up in the movie to be any kind of hero. She at first was Ego's sidekick. But let's continue. Now, the next part's not so bad, as he just kind of reiterates the origin from the comic books. In that while she was Earthborn, she was prophesized to have a cosmic destiny. And since James Gunn wanted Peter Quill to be the only Guardian of the Galaxy from Earth, he took away her origin, basically, and even took away the celestial Madonna part of the origin, so she is stuck with her empath and telepathic abilities. And it makes sense for this. It doesn't make sense for her to have a big convoluted origin story if she's not one of the Guardians of the Galaxy yet. And thus begins the stupidity, as he writes, "The Mantis we get in the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, though, is barely recognizable. Not only is she no longer from Earth, she's also lost all of her connection to the Kree. Instead, Mantis states that she was collected by Ego when she was a larva, and then raised by him to be his servant. She does have her empathic powers, but there is no suggestion that she is also precognitive, or that she has any martial training. This Mantis is not a cosmic power in her own right, but a servant who can perform an interesting trick." No kidding. First of all, it's not like we're taking a hero or a character that was well known from the comics, okay? Second of all, for the tough guy, as far as women are concerned, we already have Gamora or Nebula. If you bring in that same kind of character, it becomes not only redundant, but overkill. And that's why Nebula had to leave at the end, I'd warned you about spoilers, instead of sticking around, because she's the same as Gamora.
If I touch someone, I can feel their feelings. You feel love.
Yeah, I guess, I feel a general unselfish love for just about everybody.
No, sexual love.
No?
This is more of the same of what I just mentioned. He says, much more worrisome than Mantis depowering, however, is the dramatic change in her characterization. Mantis is always odd, speaking in the third person, intending to act in ways seen slightly off by her teammates. But she was always also self-confident, even aware of her own internal and external strengths. Well, sorry to interrupt again, but it seems to me like maybe you hadn't seen the movie, or you wouldn't have realized that almost as soon as Ego steps away, she begins to try to warn everybody that he is not what he seems. So, yeah, maybe she was aware of her inner strengths, and that's what gave her the courage to go against an entire fucking planet. Not just any planet, but the one that raised her, and she has presumably been living on for her entire life. So frankly, I think we can forgive the fact that she acts shy and such when we first meet her, or she actually may be afraid of what they're going against, since she, more than anybody else, knows the full power of what they are going to be facing. The Mantis in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, however, is largely drawn from stereotypes of submissive Asian women. She is taken from her home planet by a wiser, more powerful white man who she then obediently serves and calls master. Mantis barely even questions Ego's overly hostile motives until another man, Drax, notices her. Intentional or not, Mantis' portrayal feels very much like the trope of the wife of a soldier brought back to the United States after the Vietnam War, you racist son of a bitch. Let's not even touch upon the psychology of stereotypes, and the fact that you can bring them up is because that's how you see Asian people in the first freaking place. You try to place them on other people, but that's the way you see it. You know what? No. Instead of us talking about this in the sense of a movie and the fact that this guy is completely ignorant as far as Asian women are concerned, I'm not going to be talking about this particular subject over a scene from the movie or a picture from the movie. Instead, here's Reem cutting bamboo by herself and running her freaking farm, and then you can tell me about how submissive and weak the Southeast Asian lady is. Okay? Because let me tell you something. There is one thing very right about this. A woman from Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines, and such will love you to death. Almost to the point where, yeah, it does look like, oh, she's the submissive wife. No, but if you step out of line, she will cut your dick off. I'm not talking about in a European throw it out the frickin' car window way. You won't even know it. She'll rig it up so you won't even know it'll happen until you drink it in your morning smoothie the next day. These are not weak people. They're not. There's nothing submissive. The character of Mantis is submissive because she knows the power from which she is speaking of. That's why. She's submissive because she knows she has seen Ego do what he's about to do many times. Finally, she meets a group of people who may be able to do something about it. Submissive. You. Screw you for that. You know what? They're just, goddamn. You know, I never like to insult Americans for being Americans. But goddamn it, you really do. You're sitting there freaking typing on your machine. Oh, I'm going to write an article about a movie, and you don't think about the life they live? And she's just a farmer, and actually, she's an accountant. Her farm got in trouble, so she went back to help and saved it. Yeah, she actually saved the farm. So not only is she smart, and she's good with money, but as you can see here, she's more capable than I am, for that matter. I am twice her. She's 4'9". She weighs 109 pounds. So yeah, and then I did actually try to help on the farm once. And in what I think is a very cute accent, she says, "Oh, honey, thank you for help. Here's my phone. You go play." I messed up. I was not quick enough. She was more capable. Go figure. So no, I'm sorry. If you're saying that the whole stereotype is because that's the way you see it. Frickin' god dang it. Anyway. The moron continues, and then there's her relationship with Drax, who uses every opportunity he has to denigrate Mantis by calling her dumb and ugly. The comments were intended as a joke. Isn't Drax silly? Anyone could see Mantis is attractive, but come off as mean-spirited and reinforce the idea that a woman is only useful when she is attractive to the men around her. Mantis has lived with one person for her entire life, and her first interactions with other people center on whether she is pleasing to look at. And once again, I have to wonder, has he seen the movie? Because yeah, she rejects him right as soon as it's brought up that she might be interested. She rejects him. And the joke, you dumbass, was that in any other movie there would have been a relationship. They were playing off a trope. Moron. And not once was it brought up that her only value was that she had to be pleasing to the eye of the people she just met. You are incredibly adept at projecting. I've got to give you credit there. Congratulations, you can project. It might be forgivable if Mantis were given a critical role in the movie where she was able to prove herself and prove Drax wrong. Unfortunately, she's not. The movie never explores how Mantis' empathic powers might be useful in a fight by filling her opponents with fear, for instance. And while she is briefly able to put Ego to sleep, she is knocked unconscious almost immediately, missing the entire climactic battle instead of being the only one who could calm Ego. While Groot set the explosives, Mantis got to be carried off of the battlefield. She kept Ego asleep to set up everybody being able to take Ego out. And then when he began to wake up, she needed to be taken out, so she didn't do it again, and we had the big climactic finish. She was incredibly essential to the ending, to them finishing off Ego. How can you not see that? So why was Mantis there at all? Her primary narrative purpose in the film appears to have been to further Drax's character development. In the first film, Drax was presented as a hyper-literal warrior with relatively simple emotions. He feels rage over the death of his family and seeks vengeance against Ronan, but he does not express much in the way of actual grief. Mantis's powers offered an out. We could see through her eyes the depths of Drax's grief, but without him ever having to betray his warrior exterior. He can remain faithful to expectations of masculinity, while simultaneously telling the audience that he is not completely heartless. Does this man have any idea how shit works? Are we supposed to believe that he watched Guardians and thought, wow, I wonder why he's not sad for his family? He just seems to be angry all the time. My gosh. Yes, we see somebody who doesn't wear his emotions on his sleeve, and that's where Mantis came in, because all we saw was the rage. That doesn't mean that's all he felt. That was all he could show. Goodness gracious. You know, you would think that somebody who wrote for a living would be able to see subtext through the text. Mantis is further used to humanize Drax by serving as the object of potential romance. By seemingly falling for the emotional Mantis, Drax shows that he is starting to move on from the loss of his stoic wife. Huh? See what he did there? See, we don't know anything about Drax's wife other than the fact that she is dead. We don't know if she was stoic or if she herself was emotional. However, by attaching emotional to Mantis and stoic to the dead wife, he automatically assumes that Drax is naturally going to go to Mantis, and that makes him a softer, more lovable character than somebody who would stay with somebody who is, as he puts, stoic. In the context of the film, it doesn't matter what Mantis wants. We are not given any significant glimpse into her inner life beyond her conflicted feelings over helping Ego. They're not conflicted. She wants to get away. And when she sees somebody who could help her, she automatically jumps into use them mode so she can get the hell off that planet. So much as it matters how she can serve the emotional growth of a man with a higher billing. And I just explained that. He definitely is trying to paint a victim where a victim isn't. She's not a victim. She actively pursues her own escape by using these new people. But Mr. Charles P. Submissive Asian women can't see them as anything other than just that. The video is getting long, so I'm not going to cut away too much more. So here we go. Sadly, this is not atypical for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which has been widely criticized for its treatment of female supporting characters. In what may be the most egregious example, Hope Van Dyne in Ant-Man was initially portrayed as a complete badass who could own Scott Lang in combat. Yet, despite being better qualified in every way, Hope was kept out of the battle, and that was explained in that damn movie, you dumbass. It was explained. He is expendable. So Hope is not. Therefore, you send the person in that you don't mind dying. That was the whole freaking point that Hank Pym had for sending Scott Lang in. When Scott somehow managed to save the day because he is a male, just like I think you are, Charles. I don't know. Hope, who had expressed negative attraction to him earlier in the film, no, actually there was hints of romance, kissed him. Only in post-credits scene did we see the Wasp costume Hope should have been wearing the entire time if the movie was called The Ant-Man and the Wasp, which the next one is. Do you see why my first reaction was this guy has to be a troll? Because anybody who's seen the movies knows what's going on. This guy has to be trolling us. Or there was Black Widow in Avengers Age of Ultron, whose most significant character moment involved her telling Bruce Banner she was a monster because she was infertile. No, she was saying that she was a monster because of her training that made her infertile. moron. Seriously, this guy must never have seen an Avengers movie either. Or Drax repeatedly calling Gamora a whore in the first Guardians of the Galaxy. That's because he was a literal person. He said what was on his mind. That was the joke of the character. The joke wasn't that she is a whore. The joke that he has no inner monologue or anything to tell him that that's not appropriate to say. Drax was the butt of that joke. Or even Pepper Potts being portrayed as a scold whenever she tries to rein in Tony Stark in the Iron Man franchise. And that's because Tony Stark himself knows that his mind wanders. Tony Stark thinks more of what? He thinks more of how, but he rarely thinks of if he should. And that's where Pepper Potts comes in. She's actually the voice of reason in that couple. See, with Pepper Potts, you get the Iron Man suit. Without Pepper Potts, you get Ultron. And this guy is trying to tell us that the women of Marvel are useless, that like I said before, like they don't have their own agency. He projects his own sexist and, in the case of Southeast Asian women, his own racist views onto others. He is the one that are viewing them. I mean, look at this. She's doing this with a smile on her face, basically because she's having a conversation with me at the same time. I mean, I can't do that and talk at the same time. I'd lose my breath. She's amazing. And if I get out of line, she will climb me like a freaking tree and beat my head into my neck. Not literally, but it won't be pleasant. They are not submissive. They are only willing to love you as much as you love them. And that's the truth. Mantis wasn't submissive in the movie. Like I said, she was submissive when she was around Ego because Ego could kill her in a heartbeat. But as soon as she found people that could help, she used them. She used her own faculties to get people to help her escape. She was the one that told how to beat Ego. She was the one that put him to sleep so they could set up something to beat Ego. She was very integral, and I don't have the word yet. I'm just so irritated. But she was very important to the final climax of the movie. That's it. That's all. I'm sorry, guys. This video's run on and on and on, and I apologize for the anger in the video also. I guess I just went full SJW triggered on this guy. Anyway, if you did like the video or you didn't like the video, you think I'm full of shit, let me know in the comments below. However, I wouldn't mind if you click like, share, subscribe, go to VidMe at Grove of Eglantine and leave a little tip. I would not hate you for that. Of course, as always, very, very appreciative that you even watched the video, and very appreciative if you made it this far. Once again, let me know what you think in the comments below, and thank you very much for watching.